Well, you guys want to hear some news and some information or what? The announcement is the NFL starts this week. Go Vikings! I can't get too excited because I was excited about Notre Dame, and look what jersey I can't wear this week. That's why I'm crying. Nothing to do with Andrew. Well, church council, will you come join me? With nights like tonight, we have a lot to share. I think it's really important that all of you hear, not just from me, but from our leadership as a team. And so we're going to pass the mic around and we're going to have a conversation. And it's not like scripted. We have things we want to talk to you about tonight, but we don't have a speech. We're not reading from a prompt. We're going to talk about what's going on. We're going to talk about where this church is at and some next steps. But I have these 4 people. I'll have you guys introduce yourselves. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Go ahead and give your name, your age, your social... Okay, sorry. Go ahead and tell your name, how long you've been at this church, and one fun fact about you that's appropriate, Ted.
My name is Ted, and I've been here since day one. So it's been 30-some years at the church here. And fun fact, I never take myself seriously. God has a sense of humor, and I'm getting to appreciate that more and more.
My name's Larry, and I'm older than dirt. That's my fun fact.
And how long have you been here?
About 3 years. Yeah.
Love it. By the way, please bear with me. I got bronchitis, so I had a really fun vacation of coughing. So if I cough, please excuse me. All right, your turn.
My name is Josh. I've been here, 2 years? About something like that.
2-3 years?
Yeah. Fun fact is Shane doesn't know which mic is his.
That is a good fun fact.
Take your mic.
Is this my mic?
Yes,
Okay.
that's your mic.
Sorry.
These guys are all crazy. That's a fun fact. My name's Michelle. I've been with the church for almost 12 years now.
12 years. And council, raise your hand if you're single. Okay, just saying, if anybody's looking. All right, this is the best. This is the best pool to pull from right here. Okay. So, man, it's hard to even figure out where to start. There's a couple of things we need to go over, some housekeeping business kind of stuff. And tonight, my heart is I want to be honoring as much as I can, and I also need to be honest about some stuff going on. So there's a couple challenging things. And the first is going to be regarding our building and our situation with the building. So most of you probably know the situation that the lease for this property was given to Atmosphere Church, right? And so in the new status, Atmosphere holds the lease and we sublease. Now, what you may not know is that in order for that to happen, when the pastoral transition occurred, the lease fully was given to them, including all the payments. So we are not paying to sublease from them. So that means right now we are subleasing for free. And there is a contractual written agreement that goes through May 31st of this coming year. Now, when I became the campus pastor, so Leaf was still the senior pastor, there was a verbal agreement with them that was decided that we would have an additional 5+ years that they were going to keep us with them ongoing. Even if they changed buildings or whatever happened, we were told, hey, you're coming with us, you don't need to worry about it. And so when I became the lead pastor, I did have a meeting with their senior pastor, and I requested a written agreement that we would be able to stay for that additional 5 years. And unfortunately, in that conversation, their pastor said that they actually were requesting that we leave immediately or as soon as possible, and they need the space. Now, the good news in that is that our contractual agreement is through May 31st, 2026. So we have a place to do church for, over 6 months? It's less than a year. It's between 6 months and a year. And my heart, I'm not trying to dishonor their leadership. They're having to make their decisions as they're growing and trying to figure it out. But I'm also not going to lie to you and say that, oh, this was always agreed. Things were changed on us and someone's word was taken back, and that's unfortunate. And there's nothing we can do about that. So for our team, we had a council meeting. The day I got out of that meeting, I called an emergency meeting, and I sat down with this group and a few other leaders. And I said, okay, here's what's happening. Here's where we're at. And I just said, what do we want to do? I don't know if you guys remember that meeting. We met at my parents' house and just sat and prayed, and we're like, God, what's next? What do we do? And I want to share that right before that happened, we had started praying about this idea of church planting, restarting, kind of figuring out what we were going to do next. And so when we had that conversation, yes, it was a bummer, but we also felt like, hey, maybe God's calling us to something new. And so for us right now, I don't have a next step, but I will say this, that even though we have an end date in this building, as we're staying on Saturday night, it gives us a lot of flexibility to partner with other churches, and I've had multiple conversations with other churches and other pastors. It will be very easy for us, staying on a Saturday night, to find a place that we can collaborate with a Sunday morning church that has space for us. So there's nothing permanent. There's not a next step. We're not going to figure that out today. We're not going to figure that out tomorrow. We're going to figure that out over the coming months. But we have a plan, and we have some great opportunities. And I would say this, if tomorrow we didn't have a place to meet, we have enough relationship, we know enough people, the Lord will provide, and we will be okay. So we're taking some steps of trust, but that's the first piece. And when that happened, it really caused us to sit and reflect at the current status of the church, to look at where are we. And there's a couple things that I think tonight the five of us feel that we want to be really, really transparent about before we share our vision of what we're proposing next. The first is this: we love this church dearly, and we acknowledge that this church has struggled, not just in the last few months, but for several years. And we know that there's lots of elements that can contribute to that. We know COVID was tough on the church, and there's so many things we can point to, but our role and our goal is not to point fingers. We're not trying to blame. We're not trying to speak negatively of any previous leadership or any previous decisions. We want to honor previous leaders and everything God has done in this church as much as we can. But what we felt as a council and as a leadership team is that the goal and the vision and the trajectory God has placed us on started to shift. And so what we felt was ultimately, and this is not the end, but we felt that restoration needs to shut down. And here's what I mean by that. What we've been doing is keeping something alive that's been struggling for a long time. And it's almost like if you can imagine a boat or a ship. I always view a pirate ship, and it's got holes in it, and it's starting to sink. It's starting to fill with water. Now you have two options. You can plug every hole and throw all the water out, or you can say, maybe it's time to build a new boat. And so tonight, what we're essentially coming to you and sharing is we feel that God has changed some of the mission. God has changed some of the how we're going to go about the mission. But we feel that for us as a leadership, it's not the best stewardship to continue to try to plug holes and keep Restoration Church alive. And so we'd like to essentially propose a couple pieces. One is a unofficial restart. For you, most things probably won't change. You're going to still come to church on Saturday. You're going to still have worship. You're going to still have a message. But a lot of what happens in the structure in the day-to-day is going to start changing as we start revamping things and going through things. The bigger change is going to come from tonight. We'd like to propose a name change and a complete start over. And here's why. Because right now, you have a church that is being run by this five and a few other people. And we love this church. We love doing it. But we want to be more effective. We want to be more clear about who we are. We want to be more clear about where we're going. And some of the methods are going to shift in that. Before I continue any further, council, do you have anything to add, anything you want to say before we keep going? No? All hearts clear? Okay. I want to be really honest too that this conversation comes because I've had hours and hours, 4 months worth of conversations with Foursquare. So this is not like we sat and said, hey, I don't really like the name, let's change the name. I met with Foursquare leadership for 4 months. And I mean, every department. I've met with church planting departments. I've met with Mark Slomka, our district supervisor of all those states. I've met with Pastor Joe Hernandez, who did the installation service. I've met with mentors, and we've talked about, here's where the church is, and here's what God's called us to. So, tonight, I want to share with you what we do want to keep and what we want to stick with and what we want to double down on, and then where we want to shift the goalposts. So the analogy I'm giving for this is the mission of Restoration Church was to see people restored and healed and back into relationship with Jesus and relationship and community. And that was Leaf and Joni's mission. That was what they were called to. And I will say Restoration Church in that regard was incredibly effective. Because raise your hand if Restoration Church restored you emotionally, spiritually, right? Like I could tell you, my wife and I went through crazy restoration of our hearts. I mean, I was deeply hurt by a church when I came here, and God has taken me from there to what's happening now. That is crazy for me to fathom. Pastor Larry has his own testimony of how God has just totally changed his life, and many of us, restoration has been a huge success. Where my heart feels that the mark is different for this leadership and what God is calling us to next is I believe that we have not been as effective as I would like in reaching new people with the gospel of Jesus Christ. So that's looking outward. And inwardly, my concern is that we have not created and curated a healthy community that is connected yet. And what I mean is we come into service. I'm not trying to call you out. We're just being honest tonight, right? Real talk. We come into service. We do worship, we hear a message, and we go home. And now, let me say, if this is not your church, if you're visiting tonight, you're supporting tonight, I know we have a few people that are in that boat. That's not for you, right? We have people that come and support, like our worship teams. They're here to support and help us. But if this is your church, this is your community. This should be your lifeline. And so, the reason we're framing it this way, the reason we're not just saying, hey, we want to change the name, the reason we're saying we want to end this and start something new is because it's an end of a season. It's an end of a mission. It's an end of an appointment. And what God's put on my heart and Karina's heart and this team's heart is different. I want to reach younger people. Now, hear me when I say that, because I know that whenever a pastor says I want to go young, I know what happens in our minds. Keep in mind, look at the age demographic of my council, right? So I'm not saying we're eliminating old. I'm saying I want to reach young, right? There's a difference between those two. I know you guys all out there, you're all young. Come on. Young at heart, at least. But let me just be a pastor for a moment. What grieves my heart, what really keeps me up at night is I haven't seen someone in my time here walk through the doors that didn't know Jesus that now knows Jesus. Can I be honest? That weighs on me. Because I have two roles as a pastor. Number one is that all of you are walking with Jesus. And number two is that people that walk through that door know him. When I stand before Jesus, I want to say, that person came to our church, they're in love with you now. That person came to our church, they know you now. I want to see people come from death to life. I don't want to wait. So here's my challenge for you. I want you to go home after tonight, and I want you to pray. And I mean really, really pray. And I want you to ask, God, have you called me to be a part of this new church? If the answer is no, please hear me. That is okay. Because this church is going to change in every way. We're going to change the name. We're going to change some structural things. We're going to do more technology, media, marketing, and branding because we want people to find us. We want people to find Jesus. We're going to focus on different ways to get into the community. Karina has some ideas, which we'll talk on later, about reaching the next generation. But if you're not called to this church, I want you to be where God has called you. And here's the level I'm willing to double down on that for. If you come to me and you say, I love you, I love his church, I'm not called to be here, this is not my church, I will personally meet with you and another pastor and help you find a church that is the best fit for you in this season of your life. So as people watch us back later, if you have kids and you're like, I need a church that has kids, I will find you a church with the Healthy Kids Ministry. If you have youth and you need to go to youth, anyone, whatever you're called to, whatever you need in this season, I will help you find, because I trust that God is going to build a different team for this church. Not because I don't want you to be a part of it. I mean, you all know if I could keep Andrew held captive forever, I'd lock him upstairs and keep him. But I trust God more than I need Andrew. And I love Andrew enough that I want him to go where God's called him. So where God needs you to be, I want you to be. And if this isn't your church and you're just supporting, great. But if this isn't your church, go to your church. If you need to find a church, go to your church. Find where God needs you to be in this season. But if you're here, if you're going to commit to what God has called us to here, I'm going to ask 3 things of you. I'm going to ask you to come, to show up. And I'm saying this on live stream. If you're watching live stream and you're not here tonight, I know life happens. I'm not trying to guilt you. But if this is your church, you need to be here. Not because of attendance, but because if you miss 80% of weeks, you miss 80% of what God's been speaking. You miss 80% of the move of the Spirit of God in the presence of Jesus that's happening. You miss 80% of the community you can have here. If this is your church, make an effort to be here. Not for attendance, for your soul. Because I'll tell you, I'm not here because I'm the pastor. I'm not here because I'm on staff paid. None of these people are paid. Michelle, why are you here?
Because I love the Lord and I love this church.
Josh, why are you here?
Same. I love this church. I love the Lord, and this is where He's called me.
I want you to hear that. Every person, counsel, are you here because you want to be here, or are you here because God called you here? You hear that? Because God called us. Every single one of us, if we're here, we are here because of the calling of Jesus. Not because it's easy, not because it's convenient, not because we've been here for 10 years, not because we grew up in the church. If you're here, and especially if you watch online and you weren't here tonight, please hear me. If you're here because God has said, this is where I have planted you. And the only way for us to grow is to be rooted and planted. And if it's not here, I love you. Go find where you're supposed to be. If you're only here once in a while because you're not sure about it, that's okay. Go find where God needs you. There is a body of believers that is missing an arm or a leg or a part of the body, and you're that part that they need. But if you're here, you're a part of this with us. You're a part of this family. If this is your home church, I don't want you to be congregants. I don't want you to be attendees. I want you to be family. That means I want to know what's going on in your life. When you have something going on, when you're sick, I want to be the person you call. When something goes wrong, I want to be the person you call. Not because I need to know, because I care about you, because I love you, because this is a community. All right. I trust God enough that I know He has a plan for this. And so I want to unpack what I have heard from the Lord. And I think it's important to start with one piece of my life and my story, which is that my wife and I have experienced a divided, disjointed, an unhealthy perspective of church for a long time and for many of our years. And we feel called by God to pastor a church that is healthy, that is connected, and that is rooted in Jesus and in truth. And so I want to tell you, here's what's going to stay. When I got installed, I shared 5 phrases. Anybody remember those? Remember that service and those 5 phrases? It was a while ago, so I'll refresh you. Let's jump to those first So that first value, it's on the blue slides. Here's those 5 values. And I want to reiterate them again because for our church, even though we're changing names, we're not changing the mission of reaching people, right? What we've talked about, the mission's changing in wanting to reach people. But some of the elements of how we interact, how we treat each other, how we do stuff, that's not going to change. Being a healthy church, we want to continue that, right? There's some good things. So the first is being authentic. If we can pull that one up. Okay. I'm just going to rifle through these. You've heard these before. So being authentic, that means you're coming in, you're being real. If you had a rough week, you can have a rough week. If you had a great week, you can have a great week. We'll celebrate with you. We'll mourn with you. We're going to be real for the world and for other people to see Jesus. If we are authentic, it means we're transparent. So what's in here, everybody gets to see that. Not your junk, not your trauma. Like who you are, the Spirit of God moving in you, we want people to see that. And if we're authentic, what it does is it disarms people when they walk in. Because the world doesn't need perfect Christians. The world doesn't need conservative Christians or liberal Christians or the world needs followers of Jesus. That's what every person who doesn't know Jesus, the number one gripe is, yeah, I don't like Christians, but I like Jesus. And if we're authentic, that means we're willing to say, okay, does what's in here match with what's in here? And if it doesn't, let's work on it, right? Number 2, keeping Jesus as the focus. I say it all the time. We are all about Jesus. That's it. Yeah, we're going to do branding and marketing. We're not building a brand. No. If we're going to do that, we'll go start a company. I mean, we have enough brain power up here to start a company. We do. That's not the goal. We want to reach people. And Jesus is the focus. Everything we do needs to be rooted in Scripture. And so when I tell you the name tonight, I'll tell you verses and all that kind of stuff behind it. But Jesus is the focus of everything we do. Number 3, valuing people. I have spent way too much of my time here dealing with problems. Can I be honest? And I'm not saying it's someone's fault. It's just there's things to fix. There's admin stuff to fix. There's tech stuff to fix. There's always stuff to fix. But the shift in how we do everything, I'm not going to be the one fixing the stuff anymore. We're building a new ship because we're not going to spend time plugging holes. We're going to spend time with people. And I think I said it after a Christmas service. We had a Christmas service. A bunch of people showed up. No one came back. You want to know why? Because we put on a great service and we didn't connect with anybody. I want people that walk into this church, whether they're serving, preaching, attending, checking it out, I want them to feel like they are the most valuable people on the planet. And that can't just be me. That's you. That's when they walk in. How are you interacting with them? That's when they walk in. Do they feel important? Because they are. Man, they're God's kids. See, that's where church has missed it. We get comfortable and we protect our bubble. We protect our happy place, our safe place. Instead of saying, there's a bunch of people out there that are going to go to hell. When that car crashes that you drive by on the freeway, if that person didn't know Jesus, you know what happened? Do we know the reality? What about that person you walk by in the grocery store that you're like, I don't want to talk to that person? Our limited interaction with the world around us, is it costing people their soul? I had to ask myself that question. I'm at the store, I think it was last night. Karina and I were making pizzas, and we don't have sauce. And I go to the store, and there's a self-checkout line, and then there's the guy ringing people up. And I'm like, self-checkout. And I kid you not, the Lord just went, hey, what if he doesn't know me? Like, this group, are we going to be willing to risk something? Are we going to be willing to risk our comfort and talk to people, connect with people? Man, I want people to know Jesus, so we're going to value people. Number 4, learning and growing together. Now, that is where service is. Hey, we're pretty good at that. I won't lie. I think we're pretty good at that. When I look at other churches, I mean, only one other church has Tyler Sanders every week. Come on. Crosspoint's blessed. But, I mean, what a legend. Look at that worship team we had. Come on now. I mean, that's like, there's no world where a room our size gets worship like that. Man, God has blessed us. God has blessed you beyond belief. For real. These are some healthy, amazing people. They're not just gifted. Can I tell you the people leading worship? Karina and I are getting to know them as people. Oh my gosh. These people are amazing. I'm trying to steal them all. I'm trying to steal everyone at Church on the Way. Get them all over here. And y'all know, they're from Church on the Way. A lot of these people we're partnering with, they're in our Foursquare family. They're our family. So they're coming over here, and we get to learn and grow together. I love what we do. We're going to keep preaching the word. I'm going to keep preaching the Bible. I'm going to keep preaching truth and hope that some of it lands for us. Preaching to myself some of the time, preaching to you some of the time, but preaching the Bible always. And the fifth one is living dependent on the Holy Spirit. And we're going to lean into that. We're going to see what that needs to look like by asking the Lord, how are we doing things? So this conversation, we've prayed. We've asked the Lord. We've thought through this. We're not just making a decision. We have seriously made sure. Are we all clear? Are we all on the same page? Is the Holy Spirit speaking to all of us on this? And how many of you ever saw those little invite cards we had made? Anybody? No? Okay, two. That is part of our problem. All right, perfect. So we made invite cards that we never used, and we're going to make new invite cards. But that invite card said a phrase we never have actually used in this church as our official phrase. And so I'm going to share that with you. So here's the first new thing. The phrase you want to use, so you have the name of the church, and then under it, you have your catchphrase, if you will, your motto. Can we get that first one up? It's discover God, grow together. It's the black slide, the darker one. There you go. So, why is this our phrase? Because if people walk in the door, like I said, we have two objectives. And if I could summarize them really quickly, we want to reach new people. We want to disciple people. That's it. That was a call of God. Go, therefore go and make disciples. So for us, when people come in the door, they've never met Jesus, or we go into the community and we connect with them and they've never met Jesus, we want to help them discover God. And we make it very broad in that way because it's important. Some people are going to come and go, I don't know who God is. They don't even know Jesus is connected to God. But when you say discover God, what they're hearing is there's a higher power, and we're getting to say, hey, that's Jesus. That's who that is. So we're telling people who don't know him, discover God, but that second step is grow together. Together, not just grow. Can I tell you, one of the best things that happened on my vacation, despite being sick and in bed the entire time, was I got to take an actual evaluation at my marriage. And I can honestly tell you that I have never been more in love with my wife. I've never been closer to my wife. And the thing is, it wasn't because I grew and she grew. It was because we grew together. And honestly, it's hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of communication. It's messy sometimes. But we've grown because we grew together. Because we're together, we've been able to grow so much, and God's done so much in us. If you're trying to grow by yourself, you're stunting your own growth. This is a place where we want to grow together. I want to be better tomorrow than I was yesterday. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better pastor. I want to be a better son. I want to be a better everything. Don't you? Don't you want to be better and grow? So let's do that as a team. Y'all want to hear the name that we're proposing? Like I said, my wife and I lived in a divided church, and so I had a lot of meetings and conversations. And again, this is 4 months of figuring out what on earth we're doing. So to be clear, part of the reason you've seen no real, here's what we're doing, here's where we're going for the last 4 months is because all 4 months were phases. 1 month was spent all with church planning, trying to figure out, do we want a church plant? We said, no, we're going to restart this instead. The second phase was with Foursquare leadership, figuring out what can we do, what are our next steps, and then the third was a bunch of just admin stuff that I won't bore your brain with because it's horrible and keeps me up at night. So the name that we felt was Unified Church. Here's why. The world is the most divided it has ever been. The church is the most divided it has ever been. And for us, what we see is consistently churches, leaders, and people looking out for their own interests. And when we thought about the makeup of our church, we thought, man, we got people coming to do worship from other churches. We're sending people to other churches. I get to go on Sunday sometimes still and preach or do worship with other churches. And we just thought, man, unified church. Not everyone's always going to be unified on everything, but we can be unified on Jesus. We could be unified that there is one God who sent his son to die for this world. And that is the only thing in life we have to have in common. We don't have to think the same, vote the same. I know y'all aren't Vikings fans. Come on. Some of y'all don't. And you're like, what are Vikings? It's football. But we want to be unified under the banner of Jesus. And we don't just want that to be for the world to see. We want that to be for the church to see. Here's what I'd say. If tomorrow, and I know this isn't possible, but if tomorrow this church was 2,000 people, the first thing I would do, if it was healthy in the room, if everything was healthy, I didn't have to put out fires, is I would sit down with those 2,000 people and say, where can we go help the other small churches in our area that have need? So my vision for this church, we're going to start small. We're going to start with a core team that says, this is my church, I'm all in. I'm going to give my life to see people know Jesus. Not literally, but you're going to give your passion, your time, your effort, your energy. You want to see people know Jesus. Great. And we're going to be unified, but we're going to set an example for the other churches. So tonight, man, we honor Atmosphere Church for letting us stay in this space for free. Doesn't matter what the deal was, doesn't matter what's changed. We honor Atmosphere Church for everything they've done to bless us, for letting us use the LED wall and the sound system and all the things they've done, for letting us keep office spaces. We honor Pastors Leaf and Joni for going before us and setting the precedent. We honor Dan and Bev for founding this church. We honor every person who has led, passed through, been a part of this church. We're going to honor as much as we can, and then we're going to choose, hey, for us, here's where we feel called. I want to share with you a few before we go into scriptures. You know what? Let's jump ahead on those gray slides, Eric. I put some scriptures for this name, and I want to give you some scriptural reference for why we've chosen this as the name. Council, anything to interject? Man, y'all are a vocal bunch tonight. Can't keep you down. You're rowdy. All right, so let's start with Ephesians. We should have that one up there. Ephesians 4, 1-6. Are we good? Okay, cool. I'm just going to trust we're there. I, therefore, a prisoner for the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called. This is huge. With all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to the one hope that belongs to your call. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. Like I said, we are unified in the banner of Jesus. Our second verse. And like I said, we live in a divided world, and I believe that Jesus is the answer to the divided world. Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is no male and female, for all of you are one in Jesus Christ. There is no liberal, Democrat, Republican, conservative, conspiracy theorist. Come on. It doesn't matter what the background is. It doesn't matter who we are. It doesn't matter the culture or the race or the world we were brought up in. We are unified under Jesus. And my heart is that this church would look like all of that. Man, I want people to come in who are so far left-leaning that the people on the far right are uncomfortable, and so far right-leaning people on the far left, and go, everything about my worldview doesn't really matter when it comes to Jesus, does it? Come on, the politics of this world aren't going to save it. I'm telling you right now, people get up in the morning, they scroll on their phone, and what they see is the side they think is going to save their future. Man, what if they got up and they scrolled on their phone and they heard about the Savior who has their future? This world needs hope. Let's give it to them. And you know what? They're all on technology. It's hard, but it ain't that hard. We got some good technology people. That's not how I want to say it. We have some good tech-savvy people up here. I mean, this man's a mechanical engineer. My friend Diego from growing up is a graphic designer who teaches at Art Center Pasadena. He's doing a ton. All of our website, design, social media. I mean, he's cranking it all out. What you're not seeing behind the scenes is we are ready to reach a generation that's been unreached. We're ready to let people know, we're here. Let's go. Come on. God has something for you. Acts 2, 44 to 47. And all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. Where's my second set of that? Well, I don't have it. Okay, I'll read. And day by day, attending the temple together and breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved. I read that scripture and I'm like, I want that. Day by day, the Lord added to their number. Can you imagine? And it's happening. It's actually happening. Can I tell you, this next generation is so hungry. They are so on fire. They are so desperate for something. They're looking. It's not like we have to go find them and beat them over the head with a club and drag them inside. They're ready to come to church. They're ready to hear about Jesus. So let's tell them. They want to know. And that second set, right? Bring people in and community. Let's eat together. Let's hang out. Let's spend time. You want to grow? Come be with people. Come say, hey, I have questions about this. Hey, I need to grow in this. Hey, I'm having a hard time with this. Man, can you imagine if the church was just real? I need help. I'm stressed. I'm overwhelmed. I need prayer. So let's do it. One of the things we're going to figure out is a platform on your phones, some sort of app or something where all of you can interact together. Have different groups like, oh, there's a prayer request area. There's a talking, just a general talking area. And you could just go, hey, good morning, everybody. I was reading this and this was encouraging to me. Great. You do it on Facebook. You do it on Instagram. Let's do it together. Let's interact as a church. Let's break bread. Let's eat. Let's pray. Let's be serious. So another thing we're going to do is a small group. We're going to launch and not like a topical or a gender, a discipleship group. I don't mean we're going to sit and read the Bible and go, okay, what did you think on that? I mean, we're going to sit and go, hey, where do I need to grow in my faith? Where am I stagnant? Where am I hurting? What does it mean for me to love my neighbor? We're going to ask some real questions. So sign up for that. But I'm telling you, it's not till October. You got time for the Lord to convince you. But it's gonna be real. We're going to be genuine. We're going to grow. We're going to find ways to get outside of this bubble of church and reach people who aren't in this bubble. Oh, I had this slide just further in, of course. I may have swiped too fast. I got too excited, guys. Last one. Romans chapter 12, verses 9 to 21. I'll try to make this quick. I know we're getting there. We're almost there. Let love be genuine. Let me just say, take a moment and hear this. This is a long one, but there's so much in here, and this doesn't just speak to the name. This speaks to the value of how we're going to live, what we talked about with honor and all that stuff. So really, really hear that in this one. Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal. Be fervent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality. Come on, this is where it gets hard. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Repay no one evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. And here's the one that we read and we miss. If possible, and this is your challenge, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. And I want to pause. Because we're going to have a week on our team where something goes wrong with one of the other churches sharing the building, and we're going to get upset. It's happened to me. I know it happens to Josh because he does tech. And what we're going to do is we're going to honor, we're going to love, and we're going to treat them the best how God would treat them. And I say that because if I could pass to you for a moment, We need to be people who live out what we say. We can't be Unified Church. Say, we're Unified Church, but you screwed us, so no. We're Unified Church, which means it doesn't matter how you treat us. We're going to love you the way Jesus loved you. We're going to pray for you. We're going to continue to bless you, no matter what, no matter who it is. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine. I will repay, says the Lord. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. For by doing so, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Like I said, this church is in a tough spot, and there's a lot of ways we could try to point blame and point fingers, but we're not going to do that. We're going to sit and we're going to figure out where has God called us, and we're going to walk in it, because it doesn't matter what's happened 6 months ago, 6 years ago, 60 years ago. It doesn't. What matters is what we do with today, what we do with tomorrow, what we say yes to right now that God's called us to. That's all that matters. Anything? Council? Nobody's got anything? Oh my gosh. You know, I told him before, I said, listen, I want you guys to talk a lot. Next time,
You know how feisty we get. We're trying to be good.
All right. So here's the schedule of what this is going to look like. You can go ahead and put that last slide up. So tonight is the announcement. Next week, we're going to do a church family dinner and a vote. Pause. Let me give some context what that means. In a Foursquare church, you vote as a congregation on a name change. Okay? Now, the vote is a majority vote for those of you who are mathematicians and trying to figure that out in your head. The vote is not about trying to get a majority or trying to get 100% in this room. The way, as I've talked with Foursquare, the way we want to talk about this vote, this is a chance for you to say, I affirm what God is calling you to. I affirm what you're hearing from the Lord, what this team has heard and is trying to walk out in obedience. So your vote yes is not just a yes or a no. It's saying, hey, I'm affirming that what you're hearing from God, that's right on. That's good. I want to go that direction with you. If you're going to vote no, it's saying, hey, there's something I'm thinking about that I'm not sure about, and I'm not quite there, or I want to bring that to your attention. Does that make sense? So next week, everybody will get a ballot, and you'll get a chance to vote, and then you could put your, hey, here's why, or here's my explanation, or here's what I'm sensing from the Lord. Like I said, I also want you to go home and seriously ask the Lord, are you supposed to be a part of this? Because again, I can't stress it enough. All right, I'm wearing a football jersey. I'm going to go for it. If you look at a football field, you got people in the middle playing, and you got the sidelines and the bench. There are no more sidelines in this church. There's no more bench in this church. You don't get to ride left bench. If you want to ride the bench, there's a church that would love to have you ride the bench and show up. Can I be that bold tonight? Can I be that real with you? I love you enough that I don't want you to ride the bench. Get in the game. What did I say before I left? I wanted you to be doers of the word, not hearers only. Remember we talked about that, and I said, go home and be like, God, what is my action step? What do I need to be a doer in? What do I need to do? Whatever he spoke to you, I want to know, because that's what he's called you to do with us. If he's called you to go reach your neighbors, great. If he's called you to cook food, if he's called you to hit next on slides, if he's called you to whatever, tell me. I want to know. Because what God's called you to, I want to empower you to do. Not because this church needs to grow, because you have a purpose. God created you on purpose for something. If you think your purpose is lived out sitting and watching, you missed it. God made you so special, so on purpose, that you sitting and observing isn't wasting our time, it's wasting yours. Every single one of you. There's people that don't know Jesus that you can reach. I can't. Come on, please. It doesn't have to be here. It doesn't have to be at this church. If there's people you can reach for Jesus, please do it. Please tell them. Don't keep ignoring. Don't keep holding back. Don't keep being afraid. I want people to know him, and it's okay if it's not me that reaches him. It's okay if it's not this church, but if it's you, please do it. Please be brave. Please be bold. Encourage one another to do it. So next week, come have dinner with us. We'll get some food in here. We'll talk. We'll vote. We'll hang out. It'll be fun. And then on the 20th, if you say yes, if you say, all right, I'm in, let's do this thing, on the 20th, I want you to come, but I want you to invite people with you on the 20th. Because what we're going to do is an interest meeting dinner. Before we just say, here's the name, we're done. Because let's be real, if we change the name and nothing else changes, you know what happens? Next week is 15 people sitting in here, coming, going home, and nothing changes. Let's be real. I can't change that. You can. So what we want to do is we want to get everybody together as a team. No more leadership team and congregation. This church is a leadership team. If you say yes to this church, you're a part of the team. Done. You're a part of a family. You're a part of this. We're with you. That's it. Forever. You're family. When Andrew leaves, he's still family. That man is stuck with me till the day he dies. He may not know that, but he's stuck. So we want you to invite people that you think, A, could be interested in church, or B, might be interested in helping start a church. So if you know people in your neighborhood and people you used to know, people you grew up with, or maybe this isn't your church and you're at another church, but you know people who live out here, we're going to put it on social media. We're going to promote it. We want to get people here. So as we do this shift in the name change, and we're focusing on trying to figure that part out, at the same time, we're focusing on in the room. So what that means is we want to go from restoration, instead of it just being restoration, now it's unify. We want it to be, hey, we're going to shut down restoration from all the stuff we're trying to keep running. We're going to start something new, and we're going to build a team from scratch. So again, there's no more sidelines. There's no more participators. We want to know, is this your church? Okay, then jump in with us. And if it's not, that's cool. So at the interest meeting, we're going to try to invite as many people as we can that could be interested, that may have a heart to plant with us and start with us. I say plant and start. We're not a plant or a restart legally, but you know that doesn't matter. You can be a church plant without being a church plant, right? God can restart something without ever restarting it. How many of us know, like, God's done some stuff in us? We didn't have a name or a word for it. It was just like, man, God did something crazy in me, right? That's what we're going after. All right, we're almost done. October 4th, we're going to do a pre-launch service. Now, there's reasons for why I use the words I do. Pre-launch. Here's why we're saying pre-launch. Because if you say it's a launch service, what we're doing is we're putting this pressure on the team. By October 4th, you're launching a new church and you're getting everybody in here and trying to, that's too much work. That's crazy. What we want is we want people to hear this. You are invited to be a part of what God is building. Okay? So a pre-launch service means we're going to figure out who we are. We're going to figure out how we reach the community. We have some plans, we have some ideas, but we're doing this as a team. Instead of just saying, here's the service, come consume, we're inviting people to be a part of a journey together with us. On October 18th, there is some stuff happening in the building where we are not able to have access to the building on the 18th. There is no Saturday night service. There'll be more info on this coming, but Karina and I are looking into doing a young adult outreach event that would happen off-site on a Saturday morning. We're thinking that October 18th, Saturday morning. So if you have a heart for the next generation, come talk to us. We're looking to do something like a worship morning in a backyard with some coffee and pastries. We want to invite other churches with us. So if you know people at other churches, Church on the Way, doesn't have to be Foursquare churches. We want to invite people from other churches to come join us, because we believe if we can get everybody together and build some community for some young adults, then we can develop something sustainable where we can start getting people to invite their friends. And hey, they may not set foot in a church building, but if someone says, hey, there's free coffee, free food, and some music in someone's backyard, someone might go. So we want to try to reach some young adults and people who they may not set foot in a church, but maybe through a personal invite, they go to something like this instead. So we want to start that as something we're going to do. And then the end of October, we're going to do a Halloween outreach. I'll have more information on that. We're looking at partnering with a different church this year that's really effective in their community at reaching their neighbors. And we're thinking about trying to talk to them and see if we can work something with them and learn from how they've been really effective in their communities. So I'll keep you posted on that. And then, November, we want to do a Thanksgiving dinner. December, we'll want to do a Christmas thing. So we'll have some things coming. We're going to be serious about this schedule. Once we start the pre-launch services, which is the 4th of October, then we'll start with rotation on, preaching. We're probably going to stay in James, especially during this pre-launch time, to really focus on character, integrity, growth, all those things. And we've learned so much already. And then... there's one more point I forgot. Well, it'll come to me if it was that good. I think that's it. Anything to add from our council? Michelle.
We have a very, very wonderful pastor here. We want to honor him and what we're doing here. Sorry, this is so exciting that we have all these things that are being planned right now, and we just want to make sure that everybody is on board with us, and just keep praying that if you want to be part of this beautiful, beautiful church and all the things that are going to be happening at Unified Church.
Anything else? Before we close, I just want to give the open ability. Does anybody have a question? Because if you're going to go home and pray on this for a week, I don't want you to go home and go, I have a million questions, and then come and have to get them all answered right before you have to vote. Does anybody have a question? No? All hearts clear? Okay, cool. Love you guys. Hey, if you know somebody that wasn't here this week, we'll have to live stream. We'll just post a live stream up. So send it to someone on the live stream. Send them the live stream link if they weren't here and they need it. Just make sure everyone's able to hear what's going on. And we'll see you guys next week for dinner. Same time, same place, and we'll have food. All right, have a good night, guys.